So as I was saying, I was really impressed with the points you was making down here because you was making a clear explanation of the purpose of the music video and then giving a really nice specific example to support the points you was making, and that was evident throughout this section. So that was really nice to see. The last point you made, I was a little bit confused. So pop magazines are often themed with bright and bold colours. And why are we now talking about pop magazines? Where was the connection between this and the music, the pop genre?
I'm not sure. It's because I thought Bright and Bold Colours obviously work with the pop music video, so I thought with the magazines it would kind of go together.
So, pop music videos, similar to magazines, are themed with bright and bold colours, which are normally associated with positive vibes. Whereas this makes it sound like we're just talking about magazines, because you even start to list examples of magazines, okay? So yes, I knew what you were trying to say, but that doesn't say what we've just discussed, does it? Okay, so make sure that the points you're making really exemplify the point that you're trying to make, okay? This was great. Specific example and a reference, okay, which doesn't appear too often throughout your essay. So make sure that if there's a really good point that you are making and that someone else has supported you in that point, then put the reference in, because that just validates the point that you're trying to make, okay? So great level of detail, brilliant reference. So I was really, really impressed with that section there, so well done. You then went on to touch and talking about the differences between major labels and independents. What you didn't really talk about is how that affects the style and the purpose of the music video. Okay. So you said major label companies create music videos with major artists or bands that they can gain money and so on. You gave examples of major label companies. You then said independent companies are the complete opposite, and you gave examples of that. But what you haven't done is linked how that affects the type of video that a major label or an independent label would make. Okay? So again, make sure all of the points you're making link back to the main purpose of the essay. Okay? Now this section here was brilliantly written, okay? And we had lots of references, and it did what your initial PowerPoint didn't do. We now have information about the talkies, and you take us all the way through to MTV, YouTube, and iTunes. Okay, so that was fantastic in terms of showing your understanding of the development of the music video. Okay, what I would like to see next time is if you're writing an essay which is contextual, this information in parts could have been thread through your entire essay. So when you're making a point about, say for example, purposes over here, you could have said, this is a far cry from the existing purposes of music video when they were talkies, okay? So rather than having a whole section, can you see how you could have thread that information through your essay to make it more contextual with every point that you're making?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, fantastic. The last section, which was about distribution and consumption, was really, really well written. Lots of detail, lots of references, and great use of examples. So I was really pleased with that last section, so fantastic. The essay as a whole, for a first essay, really good job, okay? Structure aside, okay, we've spoke about needing a clear introduction and a clear conclusion. You've listened to the suggestions on the brief. You've thought about what elements need to be included if you're writing an essay about music videos and its development. You spoke about purpose, styles, codes, conventions, and you went into detail about a specific genre, which was nice to see. You also used various examples, so that showed me that you had a breadth of research. You hadn't just looked at one music video, you'd looked at several music videos to support the different points that you were making, okay? Don't be afraid to sometimes have an example which goes against what you're talking about, okay? Because that will help you become more critical. Okay? So fantastic. Just a last point, well done for attempting to reference, okay? But your reference list, you need to make sure that it's in alphabetical order, okay? So a fantastic effort for referencing correctly, so I can see where it's from, the date, and the date it was available from, and where you accessed. It's fantastic, but this needs to be in alphabetical order.
That was the one that I forgot.
That's okay. So you remember that for next time?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, fantastic. So back to the rest of your research portfolio. Okay. Compared to your research portfolio last time, let's start with the secondary research. I think you had a much clearer focus. Did you think that?
Yeah.
Okay, so what did you do differently this time compared to last time?
I didn't focus on the type of genre that we decided as a group once it was done. But with this, the secondary research, we chose a specific genre and a specific artist. So I based my research around the artist and the genre.
So your research was a lot more focused.
Yes.
Yeah, and I can see that because you've done research into the existing music video for Can't Stop the Feeling, and you've analysed it in some great detail, looking at the conventions of that music video, shot types, props, costumes. There's some great detail in here, okay? You've also mentioned previous videos such as Rock Your Body, and you're trying to draw connections between the typical things that Justin Timberlake includes in his work, which is great. This was nice. You then made a comparison to another video within the same genre to see whether the things Justin Timberlake were doing were just unique to him or whether other people were doing the same. And you drew on the comparisons and the similarities between the two videos, which was a really, really nice idea. You then looked at some audience research. You was looking at, so that's down here. So you was looking at comments and things that arose from people's comments of what they thought about the different music videos, and you also looked at his history and his biography and the type of person that he is, his style and so on, okay? So the range of research you did, I was impressed with, okay? I was impressed with the findings that you drew on. So you was looking at a source and you was drawing out specific things about that source. So I could see that you was able to read a source and pick out the useful information.
Okay.
The thing that we need to work on across the secondary and the primary research is the conclusion, okay? Because I felt that overall in your conclusions, it wasn't being specific enough to show me how the information could be used to inform and support and develop your ideas, okay? So at this stage, obviously this is developmental feedback and unit 1 and 2 is pass and referral, okay? But we want to make sure that we're working towards an area where your research is thorough and sustained. I think your research is thorough, but I think your conclusions need to be more specific to identify how that research is going to inform your idea, okay? So in your questionnaire analysis and your focus group analysis, you made comments such as, let's go to your focus group. You made a comment about the video being childish, which is around here. So you said, try not to make it too childish. What does that mean? How you and how will you ensure that you do not make a video that isn't childish? Okay. Also, you mentioned about using bright colours, but again, you don't mention specifically how you could do that. So I think all it needs is for you to say things such as, we now need to sit down as a group and decide how we can incorporate these ideas into our development for our final mind map. So remember we spoke about that research commentary, yeah? So you're mentioning that, yes, we've identified this. So what we need to do now is, you don't need to make the decision on your own about how you can incorporate bright colours, but you may have some ideas, but you can say, we now need to sit down as a group and discuss how we're going to be able to incorporate bright colours into our final mind map idea, because clearly that's what the audience want, okay? You made a good comment, where did I just see that? I can't see where I've read it now. It was about a green screen. So you mentioned in your feedback, there it is, about using maybe a green screen if there was things it needs to incorporate that you couldn't achieve yourself. So here, okay, to help with the vibrant colours. So fantastic. Okay, that's the type of thing that you need to be doing. So you're identifying, this is what the audience said, this is what we're going to do to improve or to incorporate that idea into our final music video idea. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. The questionnaire was similar. Again, you're drawing great findings. You are clearly you're showing me that you can read a source and identify what it is that you're drawing out from that source, okay? It is just this fine-tooth comb, and it is a fine-tooth comb. in the conclusion to really identify what it is that you are going to do to make sure that this appears in your final video.
Okay.
Yeah? So they would want to see a narrative focused video more than a visual effects video because that's what most of the respondents chose. As a group, we must make sure that our idea therefore fits into the narrative structure.
Okay.
It is a line you need to add to each section to get this real emphasis on how you use it to inform your ideas. It's a sentence, okay?
Yeah.
Overall, really well prepared. Everything's been laid out really nicely. It looks professional. Your presentation skills are very good. I could only find one typo where you put cane, C-A-N-E, instead of can. So absolutely fantastic, really impressive. All I'd like to see is that when you're doing this overall conclusion at the end here, it's a lot more specific about how that's going to help you.
Okay.
Okay? So all the primary research that I've done, the question in the focus group will help the group create the music video because the focus group helped us to point out what can be improved when making our version of the music video. For example, the main finding was we must use bright colours. We as a group will now sit down and work out how we're going to incorporate this. All right?
Yeah.
So what's your biggest area for improvement?
I'd say trying to figure out the research. So trying to put a tiny bit more detail into the research.
So when you say detail in the research, it's not the research, it's the what?
It's giving a bit more of an explanation towards different things, so how it can be used.
Specifically in your work, yeah?
Yes.
Fantastic. Really, really good job. So in terms of development, I would suggest just going back, reading through this conclusion here and adding more specific detail, as you said, about how you're going to use this research to inform your idea.
Okay.
Okay?